me up on global business. China calls for better communication and exchanges among the international community as the annual Summer Davos kicks off in Tianjin. We spoke to head of Asia Pacific Strategy and Innovation of Deloitte to get his thoughts on entrepreneurship. RMB rebounded against the dollar after a sharp fall following the Dragon Boat Festival. From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Michelle Vandenberg. Chinese President Xi Jinping met with the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Barbados, Mongolia, and Vietnam today in Beijing. During his talks with Barbadian Prime Minister Mia Mottley, Xi Jinping emphasized that China is willing to have close exchanges with the government, legislative bodies, and political parties of Barbados and to strengthen exchanges of governance experience. He said the two sides should seize the opportunity of the Belt and Road Initiative and to expand cooperation in infrastructure construction, digital economy, climate change, new energy, agriculture, and healthcare. President Xi added China supports Chinese enterprises going to Barbados for cooperation, and the two sides should also intensify cultural exchanges and expand personnel exchanges. Prime Minister Mottley appreciated China's assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic and its contributions to Barbados' socioeconomic development. She expressed interest in further cooperation with China in areas such as climate change, water resources, the digital divide, and healthcare, while upholding multilateralism. Meanwhile, Chinese President Xi Jinping appreciated New Zealand Prime Minister Chris Hipkins' efforts in strengthening relations with China. President Xi emphasized China's ongoing commitment to high-quality development and contributing to global peace. He stressed that China's policy of self-reliance does not mean isolation, but rather better domestic and international market connectivity. He said both countries should continue to view each other as partners rather than opponents, offering each other better business environments for investment. Prime Minister Hipkins reflected on the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries, expressing the wish to explore more cooperation opportunities. He said New Zealand is eager to enhance exchanges and cooperation in various fields and implement the upgraded free trade agreement. Hipkins emphasized the importance of frank communication, mutual respect, and maintaining communication on helping island nations to develop. Chinese President Xi has also met with Mongolian Prime Minister Oyun Erdene in Beijing. During his talks with the Mongolian Prime Minister, President Xi said China will promote the construction of the China-Mongolia-Russia Economic Corridor and jointly build the Belt and Road Initiative. He emphasized that China is actively promoting global environmental protection and is willing to cooperate with Mongolia in desertification prevention and continue to support Mongolia's planting 1 billion trees plan. President Xi added China is willing to strengthen inter-party exchanges with Mongolia and deepen exchanges in governance. Prime Minister Oyun Erdene expressed Mongolia's willingness to strengthen various aspects of cooperation with China, such as trade, investment, energy, green development, and the fight against corruption, and to promote connectivity initiatives such as cross-border railway and port developments. Chinese President Xi held talks with visiting Vietnamese Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh on Tuesday at the Great Hall of the People. The two leaders reflected on 15 years of strategic partnership between the two nations and discussed further strengthening their relations. They discussed deepening cooperation on governance, enhancing development strategy alignment, accelerating practical cooperation in areas such as infrastructure, smart customs, and green energy, and enriching cultural exchanges. The 14th annual meeting of the New Champions, also known as the Summer Davos Forum, kicked off in Tianjin, China on Tuesday. Chinese Premier Li Qiang attended the opening ceremony and delivered a keynote speech. CGTN's Gao Ang reports.
calling for better communication and exchanges among international community, enhancing dialogue, bridging differences, and building consensus. This is one of the key messages from Chinese Premier Li Qiang's keynote speech at the Summer Davos Forum.
There are still many global challenges and difficulties before us, such as climate change, slow growth, and the gap between rich and poor. We should cherish the existing cooperation achievements, further establish the concept of win-win cooperation, and join hands to meet global challenges.
Li also said that despite headwinds, the trend of economic globalization has never changed. This year, over 1,500 global leaders from business, government, civil society, and international organizations will be discussing some of the most pressing issues on the global agenda, such as energy transition, financial stability, economic growth, and generative AI.
We firmly oppose the politicization of economic and trade issues, and we must jointly maintain the safety, stability, and smoothness of global industrial and supply chain, so that the fruits of economic globalization can benefit different countries and people in a more equitable manner.
The forum will also discuss key economic indicators and momentum for global growth, prospects of China's economy, the climate crisis, and innovation. This is a critical time for global economic recovery in the post-pandemic era. The Summer Davos Forum says it aims to provide opportunities for in-person dialogue and focus on climate, energy, and technology for China, Asia, and the world. Gaoang, CGTN, Tianjin.
In the meantime, participants at this year's Summer Davos were encouraged by Premier Li Qiang's opening speech. Business people from various business segments all shared the optimism in China's strong and consistent messages of opening up and collaborations.
I thought it was a very interesting speech. It's great to be back in China again after an absence because of COVID-19 and the global pandemic. And I thought the idea that global cooperation is very important and global peace is very important are very powerful concepts for everyone everywhere.
Well, I was encouraged by the tone of collaboration and openness towards an integrated world, really. It's been concerning in the recent years, the sense of fragmenting of globalization, so it was very encouraging to hear a desire to see a global integration.
Well, China for 20 years has been one of the biggest drivers of economic growth globally. Now there are many challenges that China faces, including the world, and so it'll be very important to find a path through those challenges.
Yeah, so my area is mostly in artificial intelligence for machines, for autonomous cars, and also for security. So my company is developing very novel, innovative technology for machine vision and artificial intelligence into devices.
China is the second largest economy in the world, a driver of global growth. So having a gathering like this with key business people, key policymakers and politicians at a time of heightened global tension, I think is a very good thing, because we can all listen to what China is trying to do. One, for its economy to recover and keep driving the global growth, keep contributing. Two, how is China feeling about these tensions and how can we cooperate better globally?
Now for more updates of the Summer Davos on day one, my colleague Lily Lu has more on the ground. Hi there, Lily. So tech innovation is featured at this year's Summer Davos. What are you hearing on the ground?
Right, Michelle. Just to let me give you a brief introduction of where I am today. As you can see, I have a lake right behind me and a very nice building. This is the Tianjin Cultural Center, where theaters, concert halls, and other recreational facilities are being held here. And this is an area where the local people will come for a walk in the evenings. So it's nice for us to chill out a little bit here after a very long day of work at the Summer Davos 2023. As you said, Michelle, it was a very busy day. The first day of the event, we had the premier's opening remarks. In the morning, morning and then a number of important sessions. As you rightly pointed out, Michelle, really over the years, we do see technology increasing its weight in the annual meeting of the new champions. And at this year's Summer Davos Forum, many discussions have been centered around technology innovation and related topics. Well, the forum published its Top 10 Emerging Technologies report of 2023, outlining technologies that poised to positively impact society in the next 3 to 5 years. And they include some truly interesting ones like flexible batteries, sustainable aviation fuel, wearable sensors for plants, and metaverse on mental health. And also the forum witnessed the launching of a number of initiatives, including one announced today with more than 50 CEOs joining the WEF's New Airports of Tomorrow initiative. It aims to transform airports into clean energy hubs, part of the efforts to enable net zero aviation. As pointed out by Jeremy Jurgens, Managing Director of the WEF, new technologies, if designed, scaled, and deployed responsibly, it can be used to benefit the society and also shape a better future for us. And also, I know, let's find out more about the technology breakthroughs and consensus reached at the Winter Davos. Let's cross to my colleague Julia, who's right now in Geneva. Hi there, Julia.
Hi, well, that's right. So the World Economic Forum's Winter Davos Forum took place in January. And of course, that was for the first time that it was held again after the COVID-19 pandemic. And so it was held in its former capacity with thousands of executives and global leaders joining in Davos for discussions about the biggest issues of 2023. And that proved to be one of the biggest platforms for such discussions between business leaders and global leaders. And well, the global economy was one of the biggest topics of discussion, but of course things like the war in Ukraine, the climate, and the technologies were also big topics for discussions there. And in fact, in terms of technologies, there was plenty of forums and discussions and side events on the industry. Plenty of Silicon Valley executives touted artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, to transform their businesses in the future. Well, in fact, artificial intelligence was a huge topic at Davos, and the consensus was that it is changing the marketplace. Well, there were discussions on the consequences that it might get out of control, but it is likely to dominate business talks, of course, now and in the future as well. When companies, they say, of course, now in the age of digitalization, and so the consensus is that technologies, the artificial intelligence can help them with skills and with training and be of benefit to the companies.
Well, Julia, I agree. We know that 2023 would be a year full of uncertainties, and to navigate uncertain waters of this year, entrepreneurs must invest in innovation to cultivate more technology talents and also to prepare for volatile times by getting ready to seize emerging opportunities. And that's it from me. And for now, back to Michelle in the studio.
What a beautiful view behind you. Thank you so much, Lily, for your long day of coverage of the Summer Davos, and looking forward for more updates from you in the coming 2 days. Lily Liu for us in Tianjin. Now, in the 11th edition of the Top 10 Emerging Technologies annual report, the World Economic Forum gives us a clue to what technologies will have the most disruptive impact on our economies and society in the next 3 to 5 years. Earlier today, panelists at the Summer Davos in Tianjin touched upon a few on the list before discussing the challenges for the next generation entrepreneurs to adopt these emerging technologies.
Financing is quite an issue for smallholding farmers, and even interpreting the data that we get from these sensors is kind of an issue. So how can governments or businesses ensure that there is effective deployment of this technology?
For the wearable plant sensors, I think one of the challenge is the cost, because it's a new technology. But I believe with the emerging and the increasing miniaturizations, it will bring down the cost further, and especially for technology to work, it's very important for it to be low cost so that it's accessible.
So when the steering committee was considering the AI-facilitated healthcare, was the question of data access one of the elements that was raised during the conversation?
not only data acquisition, but also, as you say, how to integrate it into the infrastructure and leverage, other existing resources available is a big part of it. But I think that's exactly why we chose this topic, because a lot of AI technologies can actually enable more accessible healthcare, enable data to be shared securely, but also more easily. And I do want to give a shout out to one of the past reports where we actually identified cloud computing and distributed computing as an emerging technology, which indeed now it has become very important. So not having to build a very large local data structure to do all those things that you're talking about is a big advantage. And I think we, as a global community, need to continue discussing that and making sure that it is accessible to everyone.
Earlier, our reporter Song Yaotian visited one business center in the west of Beijing to see how technology has enabled the city to solve problems more efficiently.
Clean streets, pleasant greenery, and posh buildings. This business area cannot be this pleasing to the eyes without effective management behind the scenes. You can see the difference before the Smart City program launched here about a half a year ago. Technology has empowered the process. For example, an AI patrol car with a camera on top is one of some 60 vehicles working on the street.
This AI patrol car is equipped with a 360-degree camera which can shoot and detect 12 types of road management problems, such as cars and bicycles parked in the wrong place or littering.
Photos of problems are instantly transmitted to all terminals of the management system, such as an iPad in the hands of an official. For example, a patrol car reports a case of random parking of shared bicycles. Officials dispatch the task to a nearby worker who will fix it and report to the system when it's done.
This car will patrol the whole area 4 times a day. Each patrol takes about 1.5 to 2 hours and entails 730,000 square meters of road. The car reports about 100 road management problems a day. This is about workload of 10 people, so it saves the cost while improving efficiency.
This trash bin is smart too. With a gadget attached to the inside of the top, it will send out warnings to the control center when it is full. When they receive the message, the management staff dispatch the task to a nearby garbage collector. The AIoT system with a control room in a nearby skyscraper connects all the buildings, vehicles, facilities, and labor. This system is very useful as the management area spans over 9 square kilometers. Officials say without the system, it might take 130 members of staff to manage the area, but now it only takes about 80. Because the system can locate all the staff in real time, it can match the nearest worker to do a task, which greatly improves efficiency.
Now the system has been used in 48 projects of 36 cities across the country.
This Smart City program is run by Wanwu, the holding subsidiary of Wanke, one of China's biggest real estate developers. The property services firm launched Hong Kong's largest IPO in 2022 and has expanded into property, community, and city management. The firm launched its first Smart City management project in 2018. It has projects in Hengqin Island of Guangdong Province and Xiong'an New Area. Song Yaotian, CGTN.
Earlier, Lily Liu talked to the head of Asia Pacific Strategy and Innovation at Deloitte to get his thoughts on Premier Li's opening speech. He said that China sent out a message of optimism about the world economy.
The message of Premier Li was a message of optimism and positiveness about the world economy and the prospects for the world future development and the role that China can play globally in enabling that further development and prosperity. I found the message extremely powerful, both in terms of the directions expressed for the future development of world affairs, but also for the role that China would like to play in enabling these positive developments. And I believe this message will resonate in many countries across the world. Yet, in spite of all this pressure, the Chinese economy has grown by more than 4%, some say even 5% this year, which is an extremely strong performance if you compare with other regions of the world, which even have been shrinking economically.
And also the theme of this year's Summer Davos focuses on entrepreneurship, naming that entrepreneurship being the driving force of the global economy. What is your understanding on the theme, and how do you think entrepreneurship and business startups can drive economic growth in job creation and others?
Today, small and medium-sized businesses account for 90%, more than 90% of all enterprises. They account for more than 70% of all jobs that exist, and more than 50% of tax receipts. So the economic importance of small and medium-sized businesses is very, very clear. But the other part is about the social importance, the importance for communities, because small and medium-sized enterprises do play in markets where large players do not play.
What are the key factors that can determine a country to be successful in innovation and entrepreneurship? Like what we can do policy-wise, or changes and improvements we can make, for instance, in the cultural and education industries?
Innovation is not something that happens by chance. It's something that is a result of company leadership and management decisions and planning. The first part is to have a vision of innovation, a vision of creating value, not only for your customers, for your business employees, but also for society at large. Second, nowadays innovation is very much linked to technology. And therefore, companies to innovate need to reach a high level of digital maturity. At the end of the day, innovation that's not profitable, that does not address customer needs, is a waste of time. It's good ideas, but it does not. So it needs to be monetized properly. And finally, enterprises are no longer functioning in isolation, but as part of broader ecosystem, where they acquire technology, talent, IP, etc. So all of this to say that government have a very important role to play to facilitate the digital transformation of enterprise, including especially small and medium-sized enterprises.
You're watching Global Business, still to come. RMB rebounded against the dollar after a sharp fall following the Dragon Boat Festival.
Foster entrepreneurship, reinvigorate innovation, transition into green development are among a diverse range of topics at this year's Summer Davos. Faced with an increasingly complicated geopolitical landscape and frequent financial volatility, policymakers and leading industry leaders share their insights on the most pressing global issues. How to unleash the full potential of small and medium-sized enterprises, how to reap the benefit of AI while mitigating its risks, how to reboot the global economy in a post-pandemic era towards a sustainable future for all. Join us for a special coverage of the 14th annual meeting of the New Champions, only on CGTN.
The Chinese currency recovered strongly due to a weaker dollar on the second trading day after the Dragon Boat Festival. The onshore Chinese currency had been on the rise after opening, hitting as much as 7.2062 per dollar in midday trading before narrowing its gains. The offshore market, which reflects global investors' expectation, also saw a rebound of over 300 points, hitting as high as 7.2142 per dollar at one point. That came one day after the Chinese currency weakened below 7.23 per dollar, both onshore and offshore, the lowest since the end of November last year. Now, for more on this, let's bring Liu Zhiqin, Senior Fellow at the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies of Renmin University of China. Professor Liu, so RMB rebounded today, but it's still quite low against the dollar. What's behind this sharp drop?
I think there's some good reasons to see the story. First, I think it's quite important to see the interest difference between US dollar and the renminbi yuan. the exchange rate and also interest rate, the difference makes the pressure on the Chinese financing market. And secondly, the expectation for foreign trade in China is getting weaker. They didn't arrive to the expectation level. So that's why the market was a little bit pessimistic for some exporter entrepreneurs, and didn't have the foreign exchange settlement in due time. Also had another pressure on the appreciation of the renminbi value. But I think this is only a short-term scenario. In long run, that this situation could be greatly improved when the exporter index and also the manufacturing index will be getting improved. This situation will be totally changed.
Now, what is the impact of a lower RMB on China's trade and investment?
There have two possibilities. One is the short term. Short term that could have some influence on China's investment field, especially for those foreign investment. They could be waiting and see what could be happening. They're waiting for further monetary policy from PBOC, whether could have more favorable conditions to promote and to stimulate the foreign investment in China. But from long run, that for some entrepreneurs and exporters, they could be beneficial or benefit from this devaluation of the renminbi, because they can get a better price position to export their more business and more products. So anyhow, that this scenario has one positive and other is a negative impact from both sides. But it depends on whether our PBOC could have another policy that to support the stabilizing of the renminbi value, and also we should see that how goes around the foreign circulation within a good combined with the internal circulation by both sides. I think this exchange rate market could be stabilized in a short time.
All right, thank you so much for your insights. Really appreciate your time. Liu Zhiqin from Renmin University of China. Now let's take a look at what else is making headlines around the world. The head of the European Central Bank has warned of lingering and widespread inflation in the Eurozone. Speaking at an ECB forum, Christine Lagarde also hinted the bank was unlikely to pause rate hikes in the near future. The Bank of Japan is likely to move slowly but steadily to quit its ultra-loose monetary policy, says Makoto Sakurai, a former BOJ policymaker. The comment came amid market speculations of such move, as years of massive stimulus has drawn criticism for distorting prices while taking a toll on financial institutions' margins. Australia's resource-rich Queensland state has pledged to dole out the equivalent of $164 million to help expand its critical minerals sector. It also vows to attract investments and cut rental fees on leases for mining exploration. And that will do it for this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michelle Vandenberg in Beijing. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.